I'm walking in nature here so you can see what I actually value, because I am going to be talking about AI, but it's not just what it can do for you, and it's not just putting real life on the back burner. I'm walking through actual mud right now. I have to figure out a way around this. In 5 years, farmers are going to be replaced by AI for cost and efficiency purposes. And whether you think that's good news or bad news, whether you think that's a shame, whether you think that's great because it's going to give farmers a break, or it's going to be horrible because it's going to make farmers poor more than they already are. Regardless of what your opinion is, that's what's going to happen. So we have to be realistic about the way things are going. I'm not saying I want all farmers to be out of business. I'm saying it's going to happen. And we have to understand as soon as possible what the implications are of that so that we can make smart decisions. There is going to be a universal basic income because there's going to be so much job loss as the technology improves. The cyborg, what are those things called? The stand-up robots. Those things are going to be what takes over all of the menial jobs. All of the jobs that, and you'd be surprised what a menial job is. A police officer is a menial job. Stop the bad guys and catch the bad guys and save the good guys. It's just like this black and white stuff. At least it's understood to be black and white in the mainstream. A lot of things are going to be replaced, and that means your job is probably going to be replaced. Business coaching is going to be replaced. Even doctors are going to be replaced. So just so you understand the breadth of the issue, this is not a small thing. This is an uprooting of society in the name of efficiency. And just to be clear, yes, it's running on a human shadow. And the shadow is American shadow. United States of America is an Enneagram Type 3 country. And the whole world is becoming Americanized in terms of business values and an approach to branding and business and what works as far as selling goes. The shadow of the Enneagram Type 3 is doing what works and being willing to cut corners to make it happen. So yes, I'm talking about how to use AI, and also I'm acknowledging that the reason AI is becoming so prevalent is because of a shadow motive. So they're both true. AI can really do some profound things, enables us, empowers us to be ourselves in ways that we couldn't otherwise. Writing books, making movies. Even if we have a garden of our own and we have a robot tending it, that's going to be the best damn garden around, because the robot's going to know exactly what the plants need at all times and have more time and patience and memory and data than any human has. Doesn't mean you shouldn't also go outside and love on your plants. That's important too. But that's a different issue. For a long time, humans have conflated sweat and love as being the same thing. And AI is going to show us it's not the same thing. Just working harder to prove our love is a shadow. I'm going to make a point about purists who are very anti-AI. If I was to type to you, let's say you sent me a gift, and I am genuinely grateful for that gift. If I were to type to you a letter that says, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 letters. Thank you. If I send you that note, does it really matter? If I send you that note, does it really matter whether or not I typed it with my fingers or that I dictated it into a microphone and had it transcribed, or that I put in a prompt and I asked AI, please type me a thank you note? If you get the thank you note and I genuinely mean it, excuse my French, but I'm going to say something interesting now, right? Someone has to have a real stick up their ass to care the way that I wrote it. It's like, I only accept pens, not pencil. Or I only accept snail mail, not email. Or I only accept email, not text message. It's like arbitrary. Email is culturally normalized now, so it makes sense to get an email, but the same people who are averse to AI right now are the same people 100 years ago who would have been like, email, are you crazy? I would never touch that. But culture changes. Things change. And actually, I'll give you one of the secrets. One of the reasons I talk about AI is because the people who are 100% allergic to AI are the people who are afraid of change. And so those are the people, they are self-identifying, those are the people who are never going to be qualified to work with me, because actual alchemy, transformation, movement of your identity is the foundational piece of my work. And so if someone is so opposed to AI that they can't, it's the same thing to me as if they can't wrap their minds around AI, they can't, why are you even sending an email? Or why are you on social media? That's all powered by AI. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying, this is where people can go into their minds and argue. I'm not saying that AI writing is great. I'm not saying the movies out there should all be written by AI, because it writes garbage. But that's because, guess what? It was trained on human writing. Why do you think AI writes garbage? Is because human-made content is mostly garbage also. That's what people have such a hard time with. If AI is trained in a better way, just like if humans are trained in a better way, and I'm not saying they're the same thing, I'm just saying minds are minds, and you are not your mind. So just like a human mind can be trained and learn language and learn how to stand upright, or a human mind can fail at being trained. It can be deprived of being trained. There's the famous boy who was raised by wolves, and he could never fully stand upright, I believe. He could never learn a language. His brain was never properly trained. It doesn't make him less than. It means you are not your mind. So you might have gifts of your mind, and you might not. And where you don't, if you were not trained properly, you might be able to get AI to help you, because it's easier to train than humans. That's a skill AI has. If humans were as easy to train as AI, we wouldn't need it. The reason we need it is because you're so resistant to it. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. I know it's paradoxical, because how can I accept something in order to free myself of it? It's not that we're accepting AI to overcome AI. It's more that we have to understand and be untrained of our codependency, which is a nervous system issue. If we don't understand our own nervous system and how it operates, we are untrainable. Doesn't mean you can't learn things. It means you only know how to memorize and not actually embody a fundamental shift, a fundamental knowing of a different way. That's what transformation is. That's why the hero's journey exists. That's what stories are actually for. That's what movies are actually actually excel in, but people just don't recognize it. People are blind to their own nervous system. And, you know, I'm harsh with this. I understand I'm a harsh film critic. But most movies, AI could have written. Because most movies are so dependent on craft that they lack depth. That's what AI does really well. Craft. You want the perfect email? Send a thank you letter to this person. AI will craft it perfectly, and it will imitate sincerity. So it's impossible for AI to be sincere for you. However, if you write a sincere prompt into AI, you'll get a sincere result. That's how it works. It's a reflection. The mirror of AI. It's not a savior. It's not a slave. There's no reason to put the AI into the drama triangle, which is the psychological trap of codependency. Savior, perpetrator, victim. If you make AI into any of those, you have become entangled into the drama triangle, and then you cannot see. So being able to see means getting yourself out of the drama triangle, which means your nervous system has to be properly witnessed by you, because otherwise you're inside of it. And that's a concept, I understand. So I'm going to say it a different way. If you identify with every fear that you have, then you are you're making decisions in your life from fear. That fear is in your body. That fear is in your nervous system. It's not easy to disidentify with the fear and the nervous system because it feels so real. And our conditioning makes is designed to keep it intact. Just like, you know, if we get a horse, it takes work to untrain that horse. And in large part, that horse can never be fully untrained. One of our horses is he's like 26 years old. We've never done, what's that? It's like the fancy horsey work. We've never done that with him. But he still does it sometimes of his own accord because he's been trained that way by someone else years ago. Might have been when he was a baby. It might have been 25 years ago. We don't know. But he's never going to be untrained out of that. And we can train him to do different things and to prioritize different things. So that's his nervous system, which is trained to perform this fancy footwork. And in a new circumstance, when no one is asking him to do fancy footwork, it's silly. But he doesn't know that, and his nervous system doesn't know that, because his nervous system did that for its survival. That's why our training is also so deeply rooted, which includes our beliefs about money, our beliefs about business, our beliefs about self-worth. All of this is how we survived as children. It's how we learn to adapt. And this is why we use the Enneagram system, because there's 9 different ways our nervous system could have formed. 9 primary ways, or if you use the tri-type system, I've been doing the math, I think it's 162 different, very nuanced possibilities. And so we feel very unique. And we might not meet somebody, or rarely, who has the exact same training as us, the exact same tri-type of the 162. And if we recognized it, or if we saw it, we might not even recognize it. It's unconscious. There's a reason we call it our subconscious, is because the training is not something we consciously chose. It started occurring before we had enough developmental power, cognition, to make a conscious choice. This is why our childhoods, we remember so little of it for the most part, is because our brains are just not developed. We have no way to store those memories. And any emotion or, discomfort, fear that was present in our childhoods occupies our memories. That's how the nervous system works. So we're either going to use AI unconsciously from the nervous system, or we're going to use it unconsciously. Crossing a river. Trying to find the trail. Is that it? Whatever, I'll find it. If we're trying to use AI based upon our unmet needs, which are unconscious, then we're trying to use AI for our survival because we believe whatever we believe unconsciously. Like I don't have a right to survive, or I cannot have what I want. Okay, I think I crossed the river in the wrong way. I'm gonna walk across this log. Whoa! Okay, I found the trail. We need to become an enlightened civilization. And that probably doesn't mean what you think it means. A lot of people think enlightenment means you're perfect. It doesn't mean that. It's helpful because enlightenment is literally what I've been talking about. Being able to see your nervous system, being able to see the effects of your nervous system. That's all enlightenment is being able to see who you are. It doesn't resolve the issues. That's a different thing. That's integration. So we need to become an enlightened civilization, and then we need to integrate it. They're two different issues. They're both very, very important and very helpful. And you can bet that without those, we're going to be using AI in a codependent way. We're going to be continuing to use each other in a codependent way. We're going to be operating from our neediness, our unmet needs, our fears. Business training is valuable because our instincts are malformed. Our instincts are rooted in self-pity and self-sabotage. And that makes for bad business. So, business coaching, business education, business training is so useful because it is just like training a horse. It's saying, this thing used to be the reward, and now this other thing is the reward. And you have to literally untrain the one type of behavior, which is operating from our neediness, and train the other type of behavior, which is operating from our generosity, being of service, giving our gifts, moving the energy, being the authority, being our true selves. You see what I mean? The old way of doing business, people are allergic to business like spiritual people are allergic to business, because the old way of doing business, or the untrained way of doing business, is in a way that does not work. It might work in some low-level cases if you're selling beer, if you're selling widgets, and if you're saying, if you buy two, you get a third one free. You don't really need business training for that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something AI cannot do, because AI can easily sell you beer. But if you're going to do business and thrive in the next 5 years, you have to do something that AI cannot do. And AI is not capable of sincerity or love. Even if the movie Short Circuit with Johnny Five, even if it says otherwise, it's fiction. AI is running a program, and it is a mind created by human minds. And There is a possibility of love coming through it, but it's not coming from the AI. It's coming from the human who trains it. This is such an essential piece for people to understand, because if you're getting bad results with AI, you're not giving it sincerity, love, and genius. It's as simple as that. If the letters you write look like AI wrote them, if your sales funnel is unoriginal and bland because it looks like, it feels like it's all machine generated, you're not going to get traction. And that's the wrong use of AI. That's how self-sabotage shows up in the age of AI. So, the dawn of actual intelligence is when AI reflects us so accurately that we choose to change of our own accord. That is something that no other technology, no other age, no other process has compelled us to do, except for when holy men, genuinely holy men, prophets, and men and women who have embodied spirit in a pure way, they have compelled that kind of change. It's my hourly gong. So this can be so confusing for people to understand, because I'm not saying AI is Jesus, but I'm saying that AI shows us where we are not embodying the Christ nature. AI shows us where we are in what I call the taking pattern. AI shows us where we are lazy and trying to cut corners in the shadow of the American programming, or whatever country we're from, or, and especially, whatever our primary Enneagram type is, whatever our primary fixation is, tells us through the AI what we are fixated upon unconsciously. Right now I'm fixated on to get through this mud. I can jump over. I'll go this way. Did I go the wrong way? No, I'll just keep going. I'm still with you. I'm just letting it percolate. That silence that you just felt, that's not an accident. That is something that AI can do. Being able to sense the energetic quality of the silence, and when the silence is finished, that's a skill. Knowing timing. That's a skill that makes AI very bad at comedy and healing, meditation, energy work of any kind. I've been working on some of that stuff, and it's very difficult because it's not a skill that AI has, and it might be able to be trained with a lot of training, but that ingenuity of that training, that is the human love, that is the human sincerity that's going into it. And so if it works and you're feeling it, you don't have AI to thank for that. You have the trainer who created that system based on what they are devoted to. And if they're just doing it from manipulation and effort and pushing, is only going to get average results. That's why we have the 5 levels system. The 5 levels of true participation, the 5 levels of lucid filmmaking. The reason for this 5-level system is, you could say it's a measure of sincerity. You could say it's a measure of whether a signal is coming from emotional repression or from actual intelligence. The dawn of actual intelligence. Imagine for a second if I turn to you right now and I'm like, okay, so now that I've said all that, send me some money or whatever it is. Imagine for a second that I flip the script on you now, and I'm like, okay, I've given you what you need. Now it's my turn. Walking over a tree. That would be startling for you, right? Even just me bringing this up and talking about it is probably a little like, where is this going, right? Because we've just spent this time, if you've been watching for, how long is this now? I think it's like 44 minutes or something. We've built some intimacy and rapport here. Imagine now if I just flip the script and I make it about my needs, how betrayed you would feel at the end of that. That's the taking pattern. That's what we're allergic to. Hi, this is my Chihuahua. Hi. My wife is up here. Hi, this is Pax. Pax, you good boy. If we're coming at AI from the taking pattern, then we are going to hit a wall because it's coming from self-sabotage. If we don't learn to own the taking pattern, it owns us, and it's going to really make itself known until we're ready to see it and process it. Right? I said those are two different things. All right, I'm gonna throw the stick for this dog. I love you. Peace out.